Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and Threads at Movies TV Mad X. A very, very warm welcome to Tuesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. There are people chomping at the bit to destroy James Gunn's Superman Legacy and to hate the movie as soon as they see it, while pretending they're not going to see the movie. There's the other people who are chomping at the bit to love this movie whether they love it or not. Let me tell you the side I'm coming from. I'm open-minded because I love entertainment, I love the arts, and when something's being released, I really always want to like it. Regrettably, we can't like everything, but there are people in fandoms these days that either hate everything apart from what goes towards their narrative or love everything. So each side is just as bad as each other. You've got the Snyder fans who despise James Gunn and have literally driven him. Not all of them, not the good ones, but some Snyder fans have driven James Gunn off of X. And he's basically on Threads now, which doesn't have, for me, the amount of people and, members for him to be there. But he's talking to fans over there at the very least. Those things are getting screenshot and people on X are seeing them. This is why I've recently joined Threads, because I want to know what's going on with DC Universe, DC Elseworlds, and of course Superman Legacy. I am excited and open for everything that James Gunn is doing. I've loved everything James Gunn has done in terms of comic book movies and Peacemaker thus far. As you all know, I love the Snyderverse. I can love Zack Snyder and James Gunn. I can also nitpick and criticise both of them without being accused of hating either director. That's the thing. A lot of people misunderstand me because I'm balanced. Sometimes I'm positive about people. And sometimes I have to criticise people. As an entertainment pundit, that's what I have to do. And I need to be honest about that. Because if I'm not honest and I'm just a shill or just a hater that hates all the time, I'm not doing my best for you. You are my responsibility to feed you honest information about what's going on in the arts, film and television, and predominantly DC and Doctor Who, and giving you my reactions and opinions to everything that's going on. If I don't give you my honest opinion, if I just tell you what you want to hear, I am not doing my job properly. I understand that I'm not a very popular, pundit or content creator. That doesn't matter. I've still got a little following. I still get 60 to 70 to 100 views on most of the videos each day, which for me is great. I celebrate that. I appreciate every view, every like. I barely get free likes, but that's okay. I appreciate the free people who like my videos. But if you do forget to like the videos, try and remember to like the videos and comment as well. It really does help. I can't always respond to the comments, but I'll try my best. I read as much of many of them as I can. Not that there's many comments anyway, but yeah, I do give them a look when I can. So anyway, because it's awards season, Rachel Brosnahan, who will be playing Lois Lane in DC Universe and in Superman Legacy, has been cornered on the red carpet by journalists, and she's been answering some of their questions on her Lois Lane and Superman Legacy. And she's actually been so lovely, sweet, and positive. Unlike that lunatic who failed to get the role of Lois Lane, splurting her, her hatred for Superman, that Lois Lane's cleverer, she solves the problem, blah, blah, blah. Not like her. But this lady playing Lois Lane, who's a brilliant, experienced actress already, she's absolutely fantastic. And all the interviews, she's been great. I believe she's going to be a really good Lois Lane. She said she wants to put her own stamp on the character, but she wants to honour the canon. And that James and everyone on the production wants to honour the myth of Superman. But she's elaborated on a little bit more than that. She's had a scene with Anthony Carrigan, I think that's his name, playing Metamorpho. I know jack shit about Metamorpho, let me say the name again. I know jack shit about Metamorpho, but she will have a scene with that character. Now, maybe Metamorpho shows up, in this universe before Superman does, and that will be really interesting as well. I've said before, I'm happy that this is going to be a living, breathing DC universe with different DC characters within it. So there's that as well. Rachel also has said that David Corenswet and James Gunn are now in Atlanta but doing some fight training, which is also very, very exciting. So already we're getting this buzz about this movie. And I'm not going to tell you that if you're a DC fan, you should be excited about this. I'm not going to tell you you should watch this. Now, Rachel said something on the red carpet that has also upset some fans, but also excited others. This is the kind of world we live in today. She said that Superman will be funny in Superman Legacy. Oh my God, everyone's going insane about these few words. Right, let me repeat myself again. I'm perfectly fine with a take of Superman, aka Henry Cavill's take, where there's not many gags, right? Or many jokes. I'm fine with that. But I'm also fine with a take of Superman where he smiles and he cracks some jokes. James Gunn has already said Superman Legacy is not going to be a comedy, and I believe him. He has no reason to lie about that. But yes, this Superman probably will crack some jokes. I grew up with a Superman, Christopher Reeve's Superman, that also cracked some jokes, and there was levity between Clark and Lois in the Daily Planet. Some people saying I'm giving this film a miss because Superman jokes. There's obviously going to be a balance in this film. He's going to be a serious Superman, but he's also going to be a jokey Superman at times. It's called a balance. Something that movie Twitter, movie social media in general don't get. You don't have to go and watch this movie. You don't have to support this movie. Who am I to tell you what to think? But I do think it's rather idiotic to take this line in the sand and say, oh no, Superman jokes. Listen, if you don't want to see Superman smiling or joking, there's three movies with Superman in them: Man of Steel, BVS, and the Snyder Cut, where he does smile occasionally in Man of Steel, rarely in BVS. Does he even ever smile in BVS? And the Snyder Cut, I think he may have smiled a couple of times. A film he's barely in, by the way. But if you want to see a more somber Superman, you've got Snyder's take on the character. But you can't expect James Gunn to be another director. He's got to do things his way. And James Gunn has been attacked for this very reason. Why are you angry at James Gunn for being James Gunn? If you're a Snyder fan, right, or if you're a James Gunn fan, you wouldn't expect Zack Snyder to make films like James Gunn. You can't expect James Gunn to make films like Zack Snyder. James Gunn is going to make a James Gunn Superman movie. James Gunn is going to make a James Gunn DC universe. That's what kind of excites me about all of this, because he does have a wholehearted imagination. He does love movies. He does love entertainment, whatever you say about him. So we can sit here all day and say, well, James Gunn said this, James Gunn said that. He made those bad jokes about kids. Yes, he did. But in the privacy of your own homes and sometimes on social media, you say a lot of shit as well. The difference is, guys and girls, nobody cares about what you say because you're not a famous director. But at the end of the day, you're no more perfect than James Gunn or anybody else in Hollywood, right? We're all got flaws. We've all got issues, right? As I said before, you can go through all my content, all my videos, and you can find me saying problematic things from your point of view. So, nobody's perfect. No one can judge another human being. But this is where entertainment's gone today, where we're expecting perfect people. Amber Heard isn't perfect. Johnny Depp isn't perfect. Ezra Miller isn't perfect. But at the end of the day, once people have done something and you give your opinion, you're entitled to give your opinion on that. They're public figures, but you've got to let it go. So I've let go the Ezra Miller situation, right? I don't care about it anymore. It's done. I gave you my views on it. That's the end. Hopefully, Miller can go and get the help that they need. I don't care about the Amber Heard situation anymore. I wish she was in the whole of Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. Because, it made no difference in the end. She didn't damage the movie. So we've got to separate the directors and the actors away from, what they do on movies and what they do away from the industry. But also they have got to stop talking down and lecturing their customers and public, because they're rather problematic at times. But at the end of the day, if you don't like James Gunn, if you don't like his movies, you don't have to watch this movie. But Superman telling a couple of jokes or whatever he's going to do in Superman Legacy, for me, isn't a big deal. As I already said, I'm happy with a somber Superman, and I'm happy with a Superman with more levity within his character. I'm not an either-or person here. I'm happy to accept either, as long as it's a great movie and they're doing something great for Superman and DC. As long as James Gunn's doing that, I'm fine with all of this. But people do like to take their positions, don't they? This is the kind of world we live in today, and everyone has to state their feelings and opinions on social media. But I have to talk about this today because it's very sad, because there is a new DC universe being explored. There is a new Superman movie coming. There is a new Batman movie coming. We're getting Joker 2 this year. It's all very exciting. And if you ask me, DC right now going forward are in a more healthy position than Marvel are. Marvel are in a fucking mess right now. And I mean, look, it gives me great pleasure that Marvel are in a mess. I feel bad for their fans, but they've been lording it over us for a very long time. So I think it's hilarious, yes. They can label last year's DC movies of being a disaster, and they were. But doesn't this justify James Gunn moving forward with a brand new universe and brand new actors, mostly playing these characters? Because the DCEU mostly doesn't make sense as a franchise. We couldn't continue going along with that. It didn't make sense. It barely had any connectivity. We couldn't go back and keep on putting, sticking tape on the cracks that the DCEU had. Gunn has come in with his own vision, his own idea. And before we judge it, we must wait to see what it is. I haven't even spoken about getting, Creature Commandos, James Gunn's animated DC series. I'm also very excited about that. Yes, I can love Snyder and love what he did and be frustrated that he didn't get to tell his full story. But he ain't the first director to be done dirty like that. Dick Donner, David Ayer, and there's so many more. Lord and Miller with the Solo movie as well. They're geniuses, as we've discussed before. I wish they were working on DC. But anyway, right, the whole point is, you don't want to watch this stuff. You don't want to support James Gunn. You don't have to. But going on and on about the same thing, attacking James Gunn constantly, for me, doesn't work. It's just, in the end, you just end up pissing everyone off. And everyone doesn't listen to you anymore because you're spoiling the atmosphere of a brand new universe being developed. You're spoiling the excitement of a Superman film being in development. In March, they will be shooting. We'll be seeing a few pictures. I'm sure there'll be some people with very, very long lenses showing us some stuff, but I'm sure James Gunn will... normally James Gunn's very good at keeping his sets and locations private, so we will see. I'm sure once production gets underway, we may see a picture of Superman in his costume. But it's very exciting that David Corenswet and James Gunn are doing some fight training right now. Fight training. Superman, what kind of fighting is Superman going to be doing in Superman Legacy? But this does prove, at the very least, that Superman will be fighting someone in this movie. Are they doing superhero fight training, or are they doing depowered Superman fight training. That's very interesting as well. And who will Superman be fighting in Superman Legacy? We don't know. We know very, very little about this film, which excites me even more. So there's going to be lots of different characters in this movie, and Anthony Carrigan has been speaking about his portrayal of Metamorpho. He's been reading a lot of comics and he's using his imagination, and so it's going to be very, very... Look, I think what Gunn's trying to do here is at the very least interesting, and it has piqued my interest. But it is sad that people hearing that Superman's going to be funny in Superman Legacy, that's all of a sudden, made people decide that it's going to be a bad movie. And look, everyone is entitled to their opinion. You don't have to want a jokey Superman. But it was pretty obvious from the very beginning that this version of Superman was going to tell a couple of jokes. It doesn't mean the whole movie is a sitcom or a comedy. I think it's very, very dangerous to make assumptions about something that hasn't even started shooting yet. I won't make positive assumptions or negative assumptions. I can be excited as a DC fan and a Superman fan, that's fine, but I'm not going to make predictions. The DCEU update account on X was going on about dad jokes. You don't know that, mate. You don't know what this film is going to be. As I say, it's very dangerous to make huge assumptions about these movies. But we know that Gunn is very proficient and experienced in making good CBMs. You can sit there saying his movies are bad, but his movies are not bad, right? His movies have made so much money. He's never made $1 billion movie, but he's made successful movies. So you can't say that his movies are bad, but he is in charge of DC, along with Peter Safran. Now, what kind of guy is Safran? Well, I like Safran. Now, I have criticised him for being part of the old Hamadaverse, right? And that's been a kind of a red flag for me. But when I've heard him talk, because I've got to be balanced about this, he does seem like a really good guy who knows what he's talking about. He's been involved in successful DC movies like Aquaman and Shazam. He's also been involved with very unsuccessful DC movies. So we'll see what happens with all of that. But people losing their shit just because an actress says Superman is going to be a little bit funny is ridiculous. I've loved what Rachel has had to say about Lois Lane. I think she's going to be a great Lois Lane. So she's a brilliant actor. Gunn is casting some brilliant actors on this movie. What was his name? I was just talking about him. I did write his name down. Anthony Carrigan, I think his name is, who's playing Metamorpho. He was on the hit show Barry. Barry was an awesome show. So Gunn is bringing in the best talent for this brand new universe. So I couldn't be more excited. Yes, as I keep on saying, it is sad what happened to Snyder. But I can't live in Groundhog Day. I can enjoy and I can re-watch Snyder's movies, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, what's done is done. And we can't keep on shoveling. If you want to hashtag restore the Snyderverse or sell Snyderverse to Netflix, that's cool. Who knows what's possible in these uncertain times. But I think there's more energy in doing that than shitting on James Gunn every 5 minutes. It's so boring and it's repetitive and it doesn't do anything. Hashtagging fire James Gunn. He ain't going to get fired unless Superman Legacy fails, right? If you want it to fail, get on your knees every night and pray to whatever God you believe in. But, we don't know if that movie's going to fail. I don't know. There's people saying, it's going to fail, it's going to fail, it's going to fail. You don't know that. Some people saying it's going to succeed, it's going to succeed. You don't know that either. We have to be patient. Wait and see the information we get and react to it. There's several castings that we haven't heard about for Superman Legacy yet. So still very exciting. And in March, they start shooting this movie. And personally, I want it to be a great Superman movie. I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy this DC universe. I want to love this universe, not hate it. Sadly, there are people out there who don't feel that way, who are sitting there praying that it all goes wrong for James Gunn. Nobody knows. But if this was to be successful, this would be a massive shot in the arm for Warner Brothers and David Zaslav, because they had a pretty solid year last year, despite the DC movies failing. They did quite well, especially with Barbie and Wonka. They were huge for them. If they can have a couple more kits like that this year, and I'm going to make the huge assumption that Joker 2 will do well, and some of the other movies coming out, and June 2 is coming out this year as well. So those two movies should do really well. So that's another two successful movies, and then next year is their big year. Will DC Universe work? But as for this year, we've still got Joker 2, as I say, we've still got the Penguin series, and we've got the Creature Commandos animated DC Universe show, which is literally the first thing. It is the launch of DC Universe, if you like. It's the first part of DC Universe we're going to see. And I'm very excited to see that as well. And these characters will translate eventually into live action as well. Then you've got a very intriguing, mysterious film in The Authority. I don't know who's writing it, I don't know who's directing it, but I'm interested in that film, and that's going to be interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if Gunn actually does write and direct The Authority, but we'll have to wait and see there. I think that's a passion project of his as well, as is Creature Commandos. These were the kind of comics that he read as a younger guy. He knows comics. That's the thing here, and it's pretty clear from what Rachel Brosnahan's been saying that most of the people working on Superman Legacy, working in DC Universe with James Gunn and Peter Safran, are DC fans and are pretty knowledgeable. Not everyone, and you don't have to be a fan. It's not a prerequisite for me. But it is exciting when you hear people like Rachel speaking really positively about what they're doing. It's what I want to hear actors saying. I want these people to be positive about what they're doing. And if you want to speak your politics and your views on the world, do that on your social media. By all means, be my guest. But don't use the entertainment and the art that I'm excited about to push your bullshit, your toxicity, and your hatred. And it's very clear that James and Peter are not allowing that shit to happen. From the very moment they announced Superman Legacy, they spoke about truth, justice, and the American way. Now, before that film was announced, I thought we would never hear the term truth, justice, and the American way, because to some people, it's a problematic term. But it's clear that in a lot of ways, James Gunn is going to go very, very, comic book accurate. But I also feel he's going to put his stamp on this. And I don't think people are ready for what they're going to see from James Gunn here. This is a big opportunity for James. He's taking a big challenge, a big risk. He's gambling his entire career on not just making a Superman movie, which is a challenge enough as it is, but being in charge creatively in, formulating something and working on something that hasn't been very successful for a great many years. DC movies have never been consistently successful, but we've had a lot of great movies and shows, and I've listed them so many times. There's so many great artistic movies that people will never forget. Smallville, as I say, the Mount Rushmore of Superman adaptations and superhero TV and comic book TV, will always be remembered. I'm rewatching it right now. Check out my mini little reviews I'm doing after I watch each episode daily on my X at Movies TV Mad. So right now, I'm feeling really, really positive about DC Universe and DC Elseworlds. As I said earlier, I think we've got a much better future than the Marvel Cinematic Universe, who are in a hell of a mess. Echo being reviewed and, responded badly to by fans. So, at the end of the day, we got, Kevin Feige had really good people at the beginning when he was building out Marvel. People like James Gunn. Whether you like Gunn or not, he's a talented writer-director. He is, and he loves this shit. This is a great opportunity for every fan You know, again, I'm not going to tell you you should want this to be a success. It's up to you how you feel. I'm not a dictator. I'm excited as a DC fan because I don't have my hat in the ring of any director or any vision. As I keep on saying, the Snyderverse is there for me to watch whenever I want. I wish there could have been more. I wish I got to see Affleck's The Batman movie. I'm desperate to see the Air Cut. These are all, frustrating elements, of course. But I can't put my hat in the Snyder ring and rob myself of a new Superman movie and DC Universe. That will be dumb of me. Not until the very least I've tasted it. Like a great many people, I lost interest in the DCEU a very long time ago. I was well loving what Snyder was doing. I loved Wonder Woman. I loved the first Suicide Squad movie. I loved Aquaman. I thought Shazam, the first one, was a solid movie. I loved the way David F. Sandberg mixed horror elements with the family kind of element. He did a good job, even though I believe that's not the way they should have went at Shazam. And, the Rock of Eternity and all of that is a universe within a DC universe, and they could have expanded it, and done so much better with it. But I still think Shazam's solid. But after Shazam, I started to lose interest in the movies. And now we've got James Gunn trying to create something new and exciting. So that excites me. Doesn't mean that it's definitely going to be successful or definitely to be a failure. And if you have got your hat in one ring or the other, that's up to you. As I say, we live in a democracy. But I just think making assumptions about an actress saying Superman's going to crack a couple of jokes, I just think it's dumb. You can want what you want. If you want a somber, more serious Superman, that's up to you. Don't watch this if you think you're going to get a jokey Superman. But I don't think we're going to get an overly jokey Superman in Superman Legacy and the rest of the DCU anyway. He's just going to say a few jokes, right? He's going to be a traditional Superman, but he's also going to be a serious Superman. Because in the comics, sometimes he's jokey, but a lot of the times he's really stern and serious as well. The thing is, to make this character relatable, you do have to give him a couple of gags. He does have to feel like a relatable human being. The reason people loved Christopher Reeve's Superman, because as Superman, he would crack the odd one-liner. And as Clark Kent, he would be funny in a different way. But you still loved him as a character. There was still a seriousness about the character. But it's up to you what you want at the end of the day. I can't tell you how to feel and what to think and what to watch. That's up to you. I'm just telling you my take on it. And I'm open and excited about the whole thing. This is why I renamed the DCEU Daily the DC Universe Daily, because I'm embracing it. But when James Gunn does something I feel I need to criticise, I will criticise him. And when he does something I feel he deserves plaudits for, I will give him plaudits. That's the content you're going to be watching with me. A very, very calm, passionate, but calm and balanced, thoughtful individual. If you want to watch people that hate James Gunn ferociously, there's content creators who will give you that. But I'm going to give you that disclaimer, that will never be me. I'm a very balanced, loving person with a big heart. And if you've been following me for long enough, you will absolutely know that. So we'll see what the future holds. But I'm not going to make any prejudgments about what we're going to get. But in a couple of months, a Superman movie starts shooting. And I'm very excited. I'm chomping at the bit to see David Corenswet in this brand new Superman costume. The thought of him doing fight training with James Gunn right now in Atlanta also gets me hyped. So everything we're hearing so far for me in terms of Legacy and DC Universe is actually getting me hyped. And I just can't wait. I can't wait to 2025. I can't wait to see Creature Commandos. I think, that's going to be I think it's gonna be cool what James Gunn's done with that animated series. We haven't seen that yet. So people will be able to make a judgment on that as well in terms of what we're gonna get going forward. So for me, it's more positive than negative.